I remembered when my partner told me that she doesn't love me anymore. And at that point, I just felt this concoction of very crappy feelings. It was a mix of hopelessness, dejection, anger, betrayal. And at that moment, that was when the hopelessness for me felt the most intense, where it felt like I was free falling and the initial instinct is to grab onto something. But the more I try to grab onto something, the more I realize that there's something to grab onto. But what if I told you that her saying I don't love you anymore is not actually a death sentence, it's actually the opportunity you've been looking for to catapult your relationship to that next level. The only reason you're not seeing it is because you're too fucking blind to see it. So by the end of this video, I want to show you why she tells you I don't love you anymore, the few things you should not be doing, and the things you should be doing to get success like my clients do. So first things first, whatever it is that you feel like responding, whatever it is you want to do right now, do not do it yet. Wait till the end of the video until you do it. For the love of God, do not do it yet. So let me show you how you can shift your approach. And when you shift that approach, everything else shifts around you as well. You know, when I get a new client coming into the program, the first thing I tell them is watch your thoughts, because your thoughts become your feelings. Your feelings become your actions, and your actions become your destiny. And so the 3 layers of feelings that I talked about in the beginning of the video, those feelings are sourced from how you currently think and process and interpret tough truths and tough resistances. And what we think about these tough truths really depend on our paradigms. So our beliefs and our value systems that we have about the world. And this is a very important distinction to make and understanding to have, because your paradigms lead to your thinking, your interpretations. Then your interpretations lead to your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions really determine your outcome. So in this position, when people are told that, hey, I don't love you anymore, they usually do what we call the 3 toxic actions. Number 1 is like the active part, where people lash out, people get angry, people start attacking their partner, and people often do this without even knowing it. The second nature of mistakes are what we call the Stoic approaches, where we try to justify, we try to explain ourselves, we try to even belittle some of the problems that has happened, her feelings. And the third nature of problematic responses are what we call the passive. And this is when you either get very dejected, you get very demoralized, you give up on the relationship, you give up on her, you give up on yourself. Or it's when people play the no contact game, people play the manipulative game, and I'm not saying no contact here is bad. I'm just saying when you play no contact in order to try to create some intrigue, to try to create some, reverse psychology of like, oh, make her want me more. Any actions coming from active, passive, or stoic here, they're coming from a low vibrational energy. And after watching a lot of clients go through this, and I'm sure you can feel the same thing too, I think you know that in your heart of hearts that these behaviors, like lashing out at her, doing the passive manipulation or stoic justification, is not a healthy thing to do. I think you know that. And after helping myself bust through this successfully, and also helping thousands do the same, what I've realized is this situation is not impossible. But often we do things that make reconciliation impossible. So if it helps you right now, put in the comment section, what is it that you want to do? How is it that you want to respond? And I will try my best to respond back in the comment section of whether that is falling for either an active, passive, or stoic approach. Now, before we talk about what to do here, we need to understand how the fuck we got here in the first place. And the breakdown of relationships is actually dead freaking simple, right? So it starts with basically you get some tough truths. And these tough truths can be something that is small or big, or something that happens from you, or something that is not even in the relationship. Like one of you loses a job, for example. I don't know. Now, these tough truths make us feel bad. A lot of people are very allergic to tough truths. Whenever bad things happen, we see it as an inconvenience, we see it as a bad thing, we see it as something to reverse. So tough truths happen, we feel bad, and when we feel bad, we act badly. When we act badly, we accidentally destroy safety. When we destroy safety, that can lead to a lot more suppression, a lot more buildup of hidden and flammable materials in the relationship, and this cycle just repeats. So think of it like a domino effect. You know that thing where you have a small domino that leads to a bigger domino, and so even a tiny domino starting like this can knock out like a giant freaking domino. Eventually, when this dominoes get so big, that is when you get the bomb. You get the I don't love you anymore. So every relationship breakdown is actually the same. And I know a lot of you guys are skeptical here because you think, oh, my relationship is not breaking down because of all these buildup, right? It's breaking down because my wife is having an affair. It's breaking down because she never loved me. It's breaking down because we have money issues. It's breaking down because whatever. Whatever problems you have, if you are skeptical of what I just said here, that all relationships break down from the same reason, I want you to just ask yourself, what do you think are the unique reasons? Put it down in the comments below. Because we need to understand here the difference between what is called a catalyst and a root cause. So I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine there's a forest right now. And this forest, with a lot of forests, what they do is they do what we call controlled burns. And the controlled burns are designed to purge the forest from the most flammable materials at any point. And the reason behind this, if you don't do these controlled burns, then you are letting the dry leaves build up. And when the dry leaves build up, that is when you get these massive forest fires that happen very rarely, but massively. So let's say you have this forest and you haven't been doing a controlled burn for 20 years. And so you have all these dried leaves that is building up and piled up in the forest. Then one day you have a very hot and very dry summer. And that hot and dry summer caused some of the leaves to combust. And now you have this big forest fire like the one we got in LA. Was the hot, dry summer day, was it the cause? No, it wasn't the cause. That was the catalyst. The actual cause was the buildup of the dry leaves over time because you didn't do controlled burns. That was the root cause. Because if you had just done the controlled burns and you allowed the forest to purge, then it doesn't matter how many hot and dry summer days there are, that hot and dry summer day can never catalyze that forest fire. But since you let these things build up, it may not even be that hot summer day. If it's not that hot summer day, it will be the next one and the next one or the next one. And the same thing for your relationship. Whatever problems you think there is in the relationship, that's the catalyst. But the catalyst cannot break down a relationship if you never let the things build up in the first place. The root cause, the fact that a root cause is there, your relationship was going to break down eventually one time or another. And one thing interesting we can see from this too is that if you look at the dominoes again, every segment of the domino is an opportunity for you to either break or perpetuate that cycle, right? So if you look at that cycle again, if you had just changed your paradigms, if you had just changed your feelings, your thinking, your actions, that could have allowed or prevented the further buildup of the flammable material. If you just allowed a small controlled burn once in a while, that would have changed a lot of things. And once you see it like this, I want you to just see your partner telling you, I don't love you anymore, as just another big domino tacked on to the end. It's a much bigger domino than what you're used to. It's a very big domino. And a lot of you are thinking, probably, right? No, Jeff, you don't know my relationship, right? In my relationship, we don't let things build up. We communicate a lot. We communicate fine. Look, I used to think the same way, right? I used to fall for the same trap. You have to understand here that the proof is in the pudding. The fact is that right now, there is a big domino. Whether you want to acknowledge the big domino is there or not, there is a big fucking domino right now. So for you to have this big domino, there has to be this buildup of smaller and ever increasing dominoes beforehand. There has to be. And you can deny this, but it doesn't change the fact that the domino is fucking there right now. And with this big domino at the end here, that is really your partner giving you one more freaking chance to see, do you break or do you perpetuate to the next domino and so on? This is why we say, her telling you, I don't love you anymore, is not a death sentence. That is actually life and your partner giving you one more domino, one more chance to either decide, do you want to break it or perpetuate the cycle? Guys, let's be honest. There's a lot of bad relationship advice out there. Advice that often sounds really great on the surface, but when a lot of my clients run to these programs and they follow these great sounding techniques, it actually makes things worse for them. And that is why I do what I do. And for the last 10 years, I've made it my mission to cut through the mountains of bullshit that is out there and show you how the real pros do it. And the first step, our free masterclass. This is where I'll show you the actual process that I've shown thousands of my clients to take them from very dire situations to where they are today, when mainstream advice and a lot of other coaches often have left them for dead. So if you're ready to stop screwing around in the kiddie pool and bullshit advice, click the link, watch the masterclass. At the end of the masterclass, if you want to apply for the program, I'll give you the instructions to do so. So then let's break down how we actually do this. How do we actually break that cycle? So number one thing, the big picture here is you have to understand the importance of emotional safety in the 5 pillars. So I have it behind me right here. The emotional safety and the 5 pillars are really why we say that's the only few things, the 5 things you need to focus on to save any relationship and to grow any relationship. So if you look at the forest fire example again, what is the one thing we can do to prevent the massive, big forest fire, the extinction event forest fire? Well, what we need to do is to allow controlled purges, controlled burns. In our relationship, the mechanism that allows for that controlled purge, controlled burn is what? Is emotional safety, right? When you have emotional safety, basically the pipes are cleared. When the pipe is cleared, your communication, whether tough truth or good news or bad news, whatever it is, can really flow between one another. And so that's the only way where nothing builds up in a relationship, no resentments build up, no misunderstandings build up, because everything is purged on a regular basis. And what you need to understand also, and the importance of safety here is that, partners never leave because of the problems itself. So whatever problems you think you have, like money problems, whatever it is, that's not why she's leaving. She's leaving because you have the problems, plus the fact that you don't have the safety to talk about it. It's what we call the catch-22, where imagine you're in your partner's shoes, right? You're unhappy in the relationship, and whenever you express how unhappy you are, bad shit happens. Whenever you don't express anything, nothing happens. So the only way you can really escape this, lose-lose, is to escape, to leave. Your partner telling you right now, I don't love you anymore, is her telling you how she actually feels right now. If you respond badly to her saying, I don't love you anymore, you get dejected, you get hopeless, you get all whatever, you get all angry. And that is how the dominoes get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger over time. You can see that. So now to actually create the 5 pillars, we need to start internally. So a lot of people think that they just need to say a few things here and there and they'll be fine. But again, we have to start internally. There's a saying that says like, hey, you cannot solve your problems using the same thinking you used to create the problems in the first place. And the first thing we need to do is to change our relationship with how we see tough truths. So again, we go back to this chart of paradigms leads to thinking, thinking leads to feeling, feeling leads to actions, and so on. So if you look at this chart, where should we go? What is the root we should fix here? The root is really on the paradigm level, the beliefs level. So here we need to change our whole fundamental belief about how we think about tough truths, how we think about tough resistances, tough moments, traumas, etc. We need to change the way we think on a paradigm and soul and identity level. So if your partner tells you right now, right, I don't love you anymore, and the initial instinctual reflexive feeling you get is a bad feeling, that tells you a lot about your current relationship with tough truths. It tells you that you don't have a good relationship with tough truths. It tells you that the paradigms here are bad about it. And you will naturally think badly about it. You will naturally feel badly about it. You will naturally do badly about it. And no matter how much willpower you exert to trying to change your feelings, your thinking, your actions, if your paradigm is crap about it, it will be an uphill battle. It'll be like Sisyphus trying to push a rock up this mountain, but it just keeps going back down again and going back down again, going back down again. And these voices of how we crumble, the thinking part of how we crumble against these tough truths, can look and sound very different for everybody. For example, some people will say during this moment, right? Okay, why do I have to be the one to save this marriage? Why is it all on me again? That is an example of a victim mindset that causes you to react badly when you get tough truths. Another person might think, for example, well, it takes two to tango. And if she's, my partner's really stubborn, so if she's really stubborn, once she makes up her mind about something, she's never going to change it. So what's the point? And so these feelings can become very subtle. So I want you to put in the comments below, if you can, what are the voices, the feelings, the thinking, when your partner tells you, hey, I don't love you anymore? Put in the comment section, what do you think about that? How do you interpret that? And I'll show you what victim mindset that is, what mind virus that is. And I'll show you why thinking that should reveal a lot about your actual relationship with tough truths. So number one, again, tough truths reveal to you the actual reality of where you are right now. It is an opportunity for you to get out of your rose-colored glasses and see things for what they are. And that's a really beautiful thing. Number two is that once you know about something, this is your opportunity. It is giving you an opportunity to do something about it. So your partner telling you, I don't love you anymore, it's not a bad thing. That's information that she's giving you to inform you, so now you can do something about it. Number three, this is also an opportunity to show who you really are. You know that saying people have about, you never know who someone is until they're pinned to a corner. Once you take away all hope, you never know who someone truly is until that point. Right now, your partner's telling you, I don't love you anymore. That is basically life. She's not pinning you to the corner on purpose, but that's basically life pinning you to the corner and saying, okay, let me watch how you handle this. And how you handle this right now will tell me a lot about who you are. This is also number 4, your opportunity to get your partner out of the catch-22. But if you can respond well to this, right, you give your partner a way out of that catch-22. If you do well here, number 1 thing you can do to create actual safety. And number 5, this is also your opportunity for a massive pattern interrupt. What you say here, what you do here will determine whether she does a double take. So you go like, oh, well, that was not what I was expecting. Or she goes, yep, sounds about right. That's why I'm leaving. Goodbye. What you do here is very pivotal. But to change the whole flow here of how you act, you need to go back to the root and you need to change how you think about tough truths. For the mechanism of how you change and reprogram your mind here, I want you to check out my internal shift series. In that series, I'll show you what I teach my clients to first identify what the voices are, how to reprogram yourself out of that voice to be like, okay, how does it fuck me in the past, these voices, and to come up with new voices to understand how to reshift and retool and redirect your mind to changing the relationship with tough truths. So you get the same tough truth, but the way you think about those tough truths, the way you feel about them is very different. The same way a lot of my clients right now, when they get resistance, their instinct is to not feel bad. Their instinct is to actually feel good about it. And this is where our technique really differs from holding your frame, for example, from Stoicism, for example, because a lot of these mechanisms, they work on the level of the actions, they work on the level of the feelings, but our method works on the level of the fundamental belief. So that when you get the same event, the initial reaction, the reflexive reaction you get will be very positive. And number 2 is to learn the skill of softening when you actually want to harden. I don't know if you felt this before, but with my wife, this happens a lot where, for example, we're having a conversation, she's tense and her being tense makes me tense. And suddenly like this whole conversation just becomes very tense and very highly emotionally charged. And it's just really difficult to just like break that cycle. But then you also have felt this before when during this very highly emotionally charged discussion, it just takes one person in that flow, just soften. So the other day, my wife and I got into this very heated discussion. And at this particular instance, my wife just softened. She walked up to me and just held my hand. And once she did that, right, it was like for the last hour, things have been building. And suddenly when she did that, both of us just calmed down, right? And this is done through what we call affect labeling. This is done through what we call SOC, state of consciousness, antithetic thinking, antithetic filter. And there's a lot of ways we can do to soften. It's not just like physical touch can soften. It's not just saying good things. Softening is actually done from the internal first, right? You actually need to soften yourself. You need to actually, it's like a decision. It's like a, that feeling you get when you're angry and then suddenly you have one thought that just allows you to soften. It's a choice to just soften. And you feel this kind of like relief, like, oh, and that's the feeling we're trying to manufacture. And if you understand how to manufacture this, you'll realize that no conversations can ever escalate into something bad. So this is a skill that's not a one size fits all, right? It's not a thing that you can do. It's a feeling that you get. And so this is why in our program, our clients learn these skills through sparring, through the community, through doing the DPPs or daily practice process that we call it. But this is not something I can teach you conceptually. This is something you have to experience yourself to really understand how to manufacture it over and over and over again. But the big enemy to doing this is often not because of our inability to do it. The big enemy to this is often, again, the bad or mind virus paradigms that we have. So for example, if you have EBI or equal blame illusion in this instance, if you think, for example, the thought, hey, why am I the one doing this, right? Equal blame here. Well, it's also her fault. So why is she not doing the work? Why do I have to do all the work? If you think that, right, think about this. You are both tense right now and you have a choice, either soften or perpetuate. And you think the thought, well, why do I have to soften first? Why can't she soften first? I'll wait until she softens before I soften. What are the odds that you will soften? 0, right? So often it's not just about the skill of softening. Sometimes we have to be very aware of the thoughts we have that prevents us from softening in the first place. So we go back to the first takeaway, which is you got to understand how to change your relationship, how to change your association with tough truths in the first place. And you got to be watching out for all these mind viruses that pop out in your mind. And the third step is what we call the TTH, right? Again, the TTH can sound something like this. Hey partner, so thanks again for telling me that you don't love me. And I realized it must have been really difficult for you to express that to me. I'm not going to say much right now to change your feelings, to change your mind. It's not because I don't care about how you feel or I'm trying to play this manipulative thing. It's just that I've realized in the past, I haven't created that safety, the ability in our relationship to actually allow you to share your true feelings towards me. And I used to, whenever you would share inconvenient feelings towards me, I would get all pissy and mad at you. So now I just want to kind of stay and face the music and understand and embrace this feeling. So I want to understand just what you feel, what led to these feelings, so I can understand what to do going forwards. But again, with every time I give you a script like this, please, I caution you, do not use it like a script. If you don't understand what you're saying and how to say it properly and why you're saying it, this will backfire fucking hard on you. So again, step 4 is really the follow through. Once you say these things, right? I always say to people, the better your TTH, the bigger the flag and the bigger the promise you're planting. So if you make a good TTH to say like, hey, I understand, I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to do this instead, right? You better be able to deliver on what you're going to do. And this is where the rest of the program, where like the internal shifts, the frameworks will need to come in. This is where we start to build emotional safety in the 5 pillars. And we need to understand that while the results are not going to come overnight, we have to understand that relationships are like a falling outcome. We cannot just say, hey, I'm going to use the TTH, I'm going to use the frameworks one time and expect my partner to change her mind and come back. Yes, you can use the TTH and the frameworks, but the frameworks are there to allow you to change the environment of the relationship. But once you change the environment, it's not going to be an overnight success. The same way, once you create the environment for the plant to grow, the plant is not going to grow overnight, right? It's going to take some time to grow. It will grow at the pace that it wants to grow at. Your job here, in terms of over delivery, is not to rush the process. It's not to change her mind. It's not to manipulate. It's to just learn, how do I create the right environment in my relationship via the frameworks, via my internal shifts, so that I can allow the love to fall into place again. And when you learn these skills to actually change your relationship with tough truth, and now whenever you get a tough truth, you can actually use that to grow from it. Reconciliation becomes a matter of when, no longer if. Why? Because your chart really looks like this, right? So for most people, what happens is their chart looks like a lot of, maybe a bit of upward movement as they kind of get this false illusion that things are going better, right? But then because they don't know how to handle trauma, they have a bad relationship with tough truths. They get the tough truth here and that leads to a dip. And then they go again and then dip. So most people's patterns is a step downwards. But if you understand how to handle tough truths properly, your chart looks like this. Slowly upwards, right? So no trauma, good. But if there's trauma, even better. And that's how you create a relationship that cannot die. So guys, I hope that video was helpful for you in dealing with I don't love you anymore. And I hope to see you in the next video where we talk about another big topic around relationships. But for now guys, class dismissed, and thank you for sticking with me to the end of this video.